Hello guys and welcome to this developer news for October 2024. I'm pretty busy because I'm making ready for release, so let's get to it right away. Release of multiplayer is getting close. As I have been saying for a while, the multiplayer version is supposed to go out around December, beginning of December, to all of players. So the multiplayer will be the default version of the game very soon, in kind of a little over a month's time. So I'm pretty busy doing some stuff, and as I'm writing here, I've been the last 2 years I've been working on adding this multiplayer version, or building this multiplayer version. It's not only multiplayer, that is the main thing, but there's also more to it than that. It's also like characters and voice communication and a lot of stuff, optimization and different UI and stuff like that. So it's not just multiplayer, but multiplayer is still the major thing. So because we are getting close to release, I have to cut down on trying out way too many new features and start implementing that. So for the next month or so, I will mainly be focusing on optimizing and polishing the game. So like fix bugs and do all the text localized, add different help text and other minor things like that that make it easier to understand and play the game and make it more stable. But as I wrote here, fear not. After the release, I will just continue as I have for the past 5 years, developing new features. As you're watching this video and reading these developer news, you are most likely one of the more hardcore fans. You are most likely playing the multiplayer already, or at least you're reading this, so you know that it's coming. But for the majority of players, this update will come as a surprise, because many players play this game once a year, maybe twice a year, for a small period of time, and they don't know this is coming. They're not following the game like that. So for them, it will be a huge update with a huge amount of new stuff. So it will be very interesting to see how people react to that. And because of that, of course, it have to be working as good as possible. So it's as smooth as possible. Anyway, moving on. In relation to making it more polished, as you know, in the beta we have for a year or two been changing the characters by hitting home and the end button on your keyboard. That's not gonna fly when we get out to more normal players, you could say, or at least not people that haven't joined a beta. They would like to change the characters in a more visual. So I've added this avatar tab now where you can select your character. And this is currently the default characters, but if you have modded characters, they will show up in here too. So this way you can now easier change your character. That's one of the polish things that I've been working on. Another thing is the size filtering in the shells and mortar, because ever since I added shells and mortar to the game, people have been asking for a way to filter them because there are a lot. So now I added this little quick version of a filtering up here, so you can now decide what size you wanna see. It's only showing the sizes that you have in the current game. So if you don't have any 6-inch shells, the 6-inch shell button won't be there. So yeah, it's just a little nice feature to making it easier to work with. Again, it's stuff like this to polish and make it easier to work with. As we are end of October, it's Halloween time, and as I write here, again this year, Halloween is saved by the community, because I'm very busy working on the actual game, making features work and make stuff work. So the community saves the day by making a mod that enables Halloween setting on top of the town map. Granako made that, and he just did an update with some new things from that wasn't there last year, and also you can play it now in the multiplayer beta version, so you can actually play it with friends now. So, but be aware, there are some jump scares. I haven't played it for a while, and I played it the other day, and I got a few little jump scares. So it's pretty well done. So install that mod and open up the town map and walk around and see all the different things Granako put in there. It's pretty well done. Also, Keltasar made a character mod, so if you want to have a little more Halloween characters to walk around with, you can use this little mod here to have these lovely characters that looks all nice and friendly. Another little community shout out is actually to show that it's not only modders that are doing pretty creative stuff, also players are. Because, yeah, of course, the game is about building fireworks shows and firing off fireworks and having fun. But there's also a lot of players that are actually like I don't know if it's First Princess or One Princess, that's the player that made this and posted it on Discord. He or she spent a lot of time decorating one of the empty warehouses or stores in one of the maps to make it really nice and beautiful. So this is also a way of being creative. You can decorate all this stuff and it looks so nice with these little lights and all the fireworks on the shelves, and yeah, it's really well done. So I thought I would just show that off because that's also a way to play the game. Actually a way I didn't intend, but people have creative minds. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. And now we come to the big thing. And if you are not a very hardcore fan and very interested in how stuff is working, you can just end the video now. You don't have to listen into this because we are gonna be very complex right now. And for the majority of you, this doesn't matter. But some people have asked for some stuff of what have just happened the last few days and why. So I decided to put it into the developer news here and explain it in the video. The short version is everything is fine. You can move on. You can stop the video now. You don't have to watch it. Anyway, for the ones of you who want to know this, let's go through it. So there has just been a workshop switching. And what does that mean and why? So let's try and go through it. Some of you might noticed that there's been a lot of odd things happening in the workshop recently, both in the single player version, the released version, and in the multiplayer version. One thing that you have to know before moving on is that I'm using mod.io as the backend hosting of the mod. So this is where you go in and upload mods, and this is the main game that you're uploading mods to here as a modder. On mod.io, you can have different games. I have a public game on mod.io called Fireworksmania, and that's the public one. That's the one I just showed you there. That's where the mods are coming from normally. That one have 11 million, 10 million mod downloads, and that's kind of the main public workshop there. So keep that in mind. Because I've been working on multiplayer for a while now, there are some mods that are only working on the new multiplayer beta version. These mods we have to have somewhere so we could kind of distribute it, and I could make the feature of the game downloading the mods that the host have that you're joining and all that stuff. And I had to have a workshop that I could do this logic against to test it out. As you might understand, these mods that are only working on the multiplayer version won't work on the old single player version. And when I say single player and multiplayer here, I mean the different game version. The multiplayer version also have single player in it, but single player in this sense is the old version. That's the game, the current public version. So to be able to do that, I created a hidden multiplayer beta game on mod.io. Here we could isolate it. We were only a few people having access to this, and we could put up mods on that would only show up in the new version of the game, the multiplayer version. So the standard version was pointing to the public mod.io backend, and the multiplayer game was pointing to this beta version. This way we had a nice separation. We could have public stuff for all the public, because you need to remember that 95% of the players are playing this version and using this workshop. So we don't want to disturb them with mods that they can't run. It would make the single player version seem buggy and weird if there are mods in here that they could install that didn't work and would break the game. So therefore we have to have the separation. So this has been running like this for a year and a half or something like that. And it's been working fine. 2 separate workshops, and that's also why some of you were saying, why I used to have this mod, why is it not in the multiplayer? This was exact for this reason. The beta one was populated manually by mods that was made specifically the multiplayer, or mods that we wanted to test in the multiplayer. Anyway, so it's been like that for a while. The problem is that as multiplayer is now going to be the public version of the game very soon, I want this to point to this version of the workshop, the public Fireworksmania game on mod.io. And I want this to happen, you know, at some point, because we want to use this because, as I said, this is the one that have all the downloads. So this is the one that we want to continue using going forward with the public version. So we have to point this to this one. However, I can of course do this, but I also want to prepare this one for going live. So I want to have beta or multiplayer specific mods in here too that works for the multiplayer version. But as long as this one is pointing to this one, I can't do it, because if these are pointing to the same, the single player version that 99% right now is playing would get a lot of broken mods. So how do I solve this problem? There's multiple solutions to this one, but I came up with one that solves all these problems above, plus some extra ones actually. So I developed a little tool that could copy all the mods from the current public workshop on Mania to a new game. So now we have a third game. We have one public and 2 hidden games on Mania. A new one called Fireworksmania single player. Actually, this pointer should actually be from here to here. But anyway, so I could copy all the mods from this one to this one, and then I could change the single player to point to that workshop. Then all the same mods that single player currently have would be in this one and in this one, but the single player is now pointing to this one, so the single player can continue playing the mods they used to play. This one up here will be kind of a hidden game, as I said, and it's frozen, meaning that I did the copy a week or 2 ago, and the mods that are there is not going to change. I'm not going to change it. Modders will not update then. Modders can of course write to me if they want them taken away from there. I can remove them, but else it's just going to stay. And the reason for that is that this version of the game is not going to be updated, so the mods shouldn't either. So it should be kind of a set in time frozen thing that people can then switch to, because then I can make a Steam branch with the old single player version, so people, after we go live with the multiplayer, can switch back and play the single player version and have it work with the mods that were there in the old days, which is now right now, but in the future it's the old days. Are you lost? Still following me? Anyway, so the single player is now, and that have happened, that the version was pushed out like a few days ago, a week ago, something like that. So the single player version is now pointing to this frozen version, which is a copy of the public workshop. So it should be the same mods. What only downside is that when this happened, you lost all your subscriptions. So you have to subscribe to the mods again. But I can't fix that because the mods have different IDs. So because they are copied over here, so I can't fix that. So, but it's a minor price, I would say, to pay for that. So the single player is right now actually out in public, pointing to a frozen workshop, and it will be it continues to do that, because now we don't no longer need to have the multiplayer point to the beta one. We can now change it so that the single player point to the single player version and the multiplayer point to the public version. And we have done that a few days ago again. So the multiplayer version is now no longer pointing to the beta, but to the real workshop. Meaning that's why you suddenly see a lot of more mods in the multiplayer, and some of them are missing from the beta because the modders need to copy it over here manually. This is not something that is done in a day, and that's why I'm doing it already here at the end of October. So modders and I and you beta testers have a time to find issues in some of the existing mods. I think we have in the beta, I think we had like 60 mods. In this one, there's like 400 or something like that. So already we have Kel'Thuzar have been in and disabled or hidden some mods in the public one that is not working in the multiplayer one. But the single player players haven't seen that, because these mods that Kel'Thuzar disabled here because they don't work in multiplayer are still enabled up here. So they can keep playing as they have all along, and they will continue to be able to play like that. The reason we are doing it like a month before, ahead of time, is to be able to remove mods that are not working anymore, and for me to discover issues, and you beta players to discover issues that might happen when we suddenly have a lot of more mods now than we had in the beta, plus some other mods that we need to test and see if they actually work. Because a lot of mods, if they're using the default stuff, they should actually work, even though they are built for the old version. If they are using the standard component in the game, in the mod tools, even if it's built for the old, with the old mod tools, it will still work in multiplayer, because I'm doing some stuff when I'm loading it in and to make it network enabled. And it's actually already proven to be a good idea to do that ahead of time, because already we are seeing problems. Because one bug that have been surfaced here the last few days is that if you enable a lot of mods in the multiplayer, then you can't really host a game or join a game with that many mods, because the list of mods is too big for the Unity lobby system that I'm using to exchange these informations. So that's one of the bugs that we didn't find here, because we only have 60 mods. And up here we have 300, I think there's 350 now that we disabled some of them. So it's challenges like that I want to see ahead of time, so I can fix this before releasing it to everybody. So again, it should feel smooth. For you beta testers, it's a little rocky right now, but that's exactly why we're doing this now. So only a few people have issues, and I can fix it, and we can have a smooth sailing when we release it, hopefully. So I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, I tried, and I don't want to spend more time explaining this, because now it's actually over, because this is the current state. This is how it is now, and this is how it's gonna be going forward. Of course, right now this is the released version. In a month's time or something like that, this will be the released version, and this will be a version that you have to switch to in Steam, specifically if you want to play that old version. Not many people are gonna do that, but I'm sure there will be a few that just love the old version so much that they want to play that, and it's fair. And that's kind of a free side effect of doing it this way, that I cannot now do this. That was a long one. I told you, 99% of you have already left, but I'm still here talking, explaining it for the ones who want to know. This is all that have changed since the last developer news. This one that sticks out is actually the update to the single player version that changed it. So as preparation for releasing the new huge multiplayer update, the game has been updated to use another workshop backend. And that is exactly that one. So yeah, that's it for now. I'm gonna edit this video quickly so I can move on, because there are a lot of bugs and polishing and stuff I have to do. So see you in the next one, and the next one will be very close to release. So it will be very exciting. See you and have fun.